AITA for forcing my son to see how difficult it is to raise a baby. My son sat me and his mother down last week and told us he had gotten his girlfriend pregnant. He is only 17 and she is 16. I told him I was proud that he came forward to tell me. But I didn't get too far into the discussion before he told me that they are keeping the baby. Both have not graduated high school. And frankly, both are quite irresponsible. According to him, having a child is easy and not really that hard. We tried to persuade him to look at other options. But he was adamant that they were going to have a kid and that was the end of that. Since then, the house has been quite tense. Any talk of the situation is immediately shut down and my son refuses to see what we are attempting to show him. I have decided to teach him that kids are more difficult than he initially thinks. Since my son told us they were pregnant, I have done the following. 1. I wake him up twice a night, 2 hours apart, after he has fallen asleep. I open the door, scream as loud as I can, until I know he is awake. And I shut the door. I've done this 5 nights in a row. 2. I purchased a sack of flour for him and dressed it in a diaper. I have made him change the diaper every 2 hours. And if he doesn't, I shut off the internet until he changes it. I will sometimes smear Nutella in the diaper for added effect/mess. 3. While playing one of his games, I told him his baby wanted to be held, giving me a truly shit-eating grin. He told me he has no issue playing his game and holding the baby. I placed the sack of flour in his arms and he continued to play basically one-handed. While he was doing this, I went to the kitchen, grabbed a small cup of apple sauce and splashed it on his shoulder while he was playing. I told him that his baby spit up and he might want to pause his game to take care of that. 4. I have not allowed him to go to the movies or hang out with his friends at their house. When he presses me for a reason, I tell him you don't have a babysitter. You can go if you take your sack of flour with you. He has not gone anywhere in a week. 5. Yesterday, I did my best pratfall in front of his friends who were over and then wailed and cried until he came over and started talking to me. I told him babies demand attention and he will have to get used to this. This was the last straw for him. After his friends left, he accused me of being an asshole and for being ridiculous with the wants and needs of a baby. He told me I'm being completely unrealistic. I reminded him that he himself was an incredibly fussy baby. And everything I have done so far he has done to me in the past. His mother tells me I'm being an asshole and to let him make his own decisions. But I don't want my 17-year shackled to a baby when neither of them are ready for this. If anything, I want him to realize how hard this is going to be. And to at least look at options. Tell me the truth, am I being too much of an asshole here? NTA. You're being a good parent and showing him minimally what it will be like. He doesn't want to listen. So you show him. Yeah, and to be perfectly honest, a baby will be much more work than Op is showing him. NTA in any way whatsoever. I never wanted kids growing up, and I was terrified of getting my GF when I was a teen. Pregnant because the future I envisioned was exactly what you were describing here. Maybe up your game and put actual shit in the diaper. That will put an end to this real quick. In all seriousness though, yes, it's a tad ridiculous what you're doing. But it's realistic. It's proportionately appropriate to what your son is going to have to deal with. There are so many people who get all over the moon, excited when their teenage children get pregnant. And frankly, I find it repulsive that we encourage that. I think you're doing the right thing. If he thinks it's so easy, ECSN get a job. Buy formula and Pampers, etc. Plus, did they even ask the parents on either side if they would be getting help, whether physically or monetarily? Because I would be upset if they expected it without asking me or talking to me about what they expect. NTA. You aren't doing these things to torture your son. You're doing it out of love. Doing something stupid out of love doesn't make it any less stupid. Info. Who will provide for the child once it's born? Do they expect you to take responsibility for that? Has he talked about how he is going to pay for housing and care for his new family? Any questions about this, he waves away with "we will figure it out." I've told him beyond their care that babies are expensive and that he would need to start working immediately, but again, he waves it away as a non-issue. I've also told him that his mother and I will not be surrogate parents for him and his girlfriend. NTA. I can see why some people think you are due to your methods, but damn, I think this is brilliant. A lot of people on this sub think accountability is mean and unfair. NTA, because I agree with you that your son has no idea what he's talking about, and your typical teenage insolence cannot be overlooked when it comes to becoming a father. And also because I find your ways amusingly funny. Sorry. Yes, in the end his GF and him have to make this decision on their own. But they are lacking maturity and information, and it's up to you and her parents to make sure they get that before deciding. Because ironically, they're still kids themselves, and they're your responsibility. NTA. You're showing him the reality of what he will have to deal with in a couple months. If he's hating how you're acting, it's only a taste for what's in store for him. He needs to know what he is going to put himself through in 8 months. This is my favorite comment. NTA, dude, this is the best parenting I've heard of in long time. Also, he should know that even though you change a diaper, fed the kid, talk to it, sometimes they are gonna keep on crying. How do you think this is going to work in the long run? Unlikely to change the situation, especially since it is not his son's choice in the first place. But it is likely to make the son resent the hell out of his father. This isn't good parenting. A better approach is to sit down with both kids and both sets of parents and start figuring out what is going to happen. NTA. My teenage parents were immature and useless assholes. They left me with so much damage. I don't know if your approach is working though. I might try a different angle. I'd also tell him he's going to have to start paying rent and he'll have to get a job. Now, you don't have to actually follow through on this, but he needs to understand that this is an issue for you as well. Maybe you don't want to live with a baby, so if he wants to bring someone else into the house, he'll have to pay for those expenses. Whatever happens, good luck. I'm going to tag onto this reply and suggest you have him and the GF spend several days at a daycare. Anything with children, and specifically infants. And also sitting them down and running through finances. What a baby costs monthly on a high and low end, whether or not you need to supplement with formula, emergency hospital visits, etc. NTA. In fact, I don't think you are being hard enough on him. Babies are hard. NTA. He is deluded and irresponsible. He needs a wake-up call. Info. What is your ultimate end goal here? I know you want him to understand how difficult raising a baby is. But to what end? Are you hoping he realizes he's not capable to raise a kid and then puts pressure on his GF to abort or put the baby up for adoption? Because ultimately it's not his decision for either of those. If he does decide he can't raise a baby and the GF wants to keep it, are you hoping he becomes a deadbeat dad? What are you really trying to accomplish here? If anything, I'm wanting them to sit down, realize the gravity of their situation, and make a decision based on logic rather than emotion. Currently, my son is happy about it and the GF is anxious. I have talked with the GF about other options that are available, and she is receptive. But she herself has said she could never do those if my son was against it. If my son sat down, looked at the options available, knew the cost of what he was doing, and still decided to do it, then I would be less dickish. But instead, he wants to bury his head in the sand and not realize the huge decision he is nonchalantly making. You got a friend with a baby or toddlers? Invite them over several times in a week when he is home. PS, tell your friends why. This. NTA. I'm 17 with a 6-month-old. My boyfriend and I have an apartment of our own, and we pay all of our bills by ourselves. I wouldn't change anything, and I'll never regret having my daughter, but it is definitely hard. My daughter has been an angel baby, and it's still so difficult some days. So many things go into having a baby that he doesn't even understand right now. Without support from you and your wife, he's going to struggle terribly. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to show him how hard it is. Some days I miss being a teenager. He needs to realize life as he knows it will be over. And what happens if he decides he doesn't want to be with his girlfriend for the rest of his life? You're doing a great job. NTA. Too bad the son can't hear this excellent advice straight from you. What about the actual reality of the situation? Where are they going to live? Who is going to pay for all of this? Are you getting them a place and paying for them? I see what you're doing and why. Unfortunately, it isn't working. Maybe a demand for rent will do it. Even if you save it up as a gift for the kid, maybe that will make things click. Does he have a plan for where he will live? Well, here's the thing. It's fundamentally not his choice, it's the girl's. So what exactly are you hoping to achieve here? Info, I suppose. I'll explain the whys. Firstly, your son. I'm 35. I have a 14-month-old and I'm at my wit's end. Seriously. How on earth he thinks he can cope with a baby is beyond me. He is not that young or naive not to know the amount of money or time that a baby needs and fucking deserves, in my humble opinion. Your future grandchild didn't choose any of these and definitely he/she didn't pick the father. Secondly, you are only preaching to your son. Which of course you do. That's your child. How about his girlfriend? Have you spoke to her parents? Have you talked to her? What does she want? What are her parents' stance on this matter? Like it or not, she is carrying your future grandchild. Her body. Her choice. Thirdly, your son made a mistake and a choice. Trying to show him what it is like to have a baby. What do you strive to achieve? To show him the hardships of having a baby. Now that the girl is pregnant already, let's say your son wakes up tomorrow and says, I don't want to have anything to do with the baby. Sorry, but it's not fair. It takes two to have a baby and he should man it up and live by his choices. Before you disagree with me, I want to say that this is a great tactic for parents. However, clearly what is happening is there's something on his girlfriend's side that's affecting his decision making greatly. Maybe the girlfriend. Maybe the parents forcing their own views upon the couple. This is adamant due to the fact that if you're smart enough to pull these kinds of tricks, then I doubt you've raised your child to completely shut you off without hearing your side first. So maybe putting some investigation into that side would be well worth your time, since currently you're stressing your son out and he may not even take it due to potential issues that you have not yet located. The best thing I can suggest is attempting to get both families into a room and actually discussing this as adults, such as how they are going to take care of it. If they are going to use babysitters or are expecting the parents to just bend over backwards just because. It's a lot of stuff that needs to be done, and if you have indeed attempted this, which isn't stated in the post, then fair enough, you'd be the NTA in that case, but as far as I can tell, this hasn't been an option you have explored. If you enjoyed this video, then hit the like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more future videos.